So today I thought, let's look in the fridge. I've got some veg that definitely need using up. It's quite nice weather out there today, but when it's not such nice weather, actually soup's really nice to have, and I always find that when I have some soup at lunchtime, it fills me up for the rest of the afternoon, and hopefully might stop your children or you snacking so much, because I don't know about you, but at the moment I've been using the fridge an awful lot and finding things to eat a lot more than I actually need. So to make some soup, you can follow recipes that have different flavours of soup, but I'm just going to make a general vegetable soup. You need an assortment of harder vegetables that are not your tomatoes, not your mushrooms. So I've gone for an onion, I've gone for a couple of carrots, and this is now using up whatever's looking a little bit sorry for itself in the fridge. So here I've got a swede. It's starting to feel a little bit softer, so that's going to go in and use that up. And I've got half a swede here, so I probably will use the equivalent of one whole small swede in this. I'll peel this and dice this. I've got one sweet potato that's just starting to feel almost a little bit soft, but still perfectly fine for a soup. I've got some celery here. Now my celery is not looking its best at the moment. As you can see, it's looking a bit sorry for itself. So I'm going to use this in the soup. It'll be perfectly fine for that. But if you find that your celery does get to a stage where it's not very happy, if you put it into a jug of water, just like this, and leave it for an hour or two, the water will help to revive that celery and it will come back to life and be as good as it was when you bought it. You then want to use it in the next few days. I'm going to put some garlic in there, which I'm going to peel and chop up. And the last thing that I could put in, but I'm not going to in my fridge, is a butternut squash. At the moment this is in perfectly fine condition, so I will use this for another dish later on in the week. So I'm going to peel chop swede, peel chop sweet potato, peel chop carrots, peel and finely chop a couple of cloves of garlic, along with peeling and chopping my onion and washing and chopping up my celery. The other things I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tablespoon of oil into a saucepan, a large saucepan to hold all this. Just a tablespoon of oil goes in there, and I'll put the veg in there, and then you'll need yourself a stock cube. I've gone for chicken to add a bit of flavour to this, but you can use vegetable or whatever flavour you'd like. Some pepper to add some seasoning, and the last thing that I'm going to put in is just a little bit of chilli. You can choose whatever spice or herbs you want to add into this. That's just what I've found and I'm going to use today. So if you'll join me in a minute, I'll have hopefully everything chopped up and in the pan ready to go. I've chopped up all the veg now and peeled it where necessary, washed it where necessary. It's all been chopped up and placed into a pan with about a tablespoon of oil, just vegetable oil I've used. Before I turn any heat on, I've boiled the kettle and I'm going to add about 300 ml of boiling water to a stock cube. I've got a stock cube here that doesn't tend to like dissolving. If I crumbled it in, it wouldn't crumble. So the easiest way for me to get this going is to put it in boiling water now. And then just leave it, give it a quick stir and leave it for now just to dissolve in the water. I'm going to turn the heat on the pan with quite a high flame, and what I'm looking to do is just saute these vegetables off in the oil, just so that we start to get possibly a little bit of colour starting to arrive on the vegetables, but I don't want them to go too dark, otherwise that will flavour the soup. So as I said, you can use any vegetables you like. You can make a specific flavour of soup, and that's absolutely fine. You can mix it up as you like and do as you wish with it, but the process will still stay the same in most cases, to just get vegetables started off with a little bit of saute with some oil in a pan, and then after that we're going to add some of the seasoning. As a quick word, I've got some crushed chilli here. Chilli flakes are really potent and really strong. You use a lot less than you think you'll need. Even if you think you like your food really spicy, I'd use a lot less than you think. I'd use a very few flakes in this. Not that we particularly like foods that are really spicy. I've got some pepper which I'll add in once these vegetables are sauteed off, and then we'll add the stock and then let everything simmer. As you can hear, the pan is just starting to get a bit of heat in there, and if you come back in a moment I'll show you at the point, or if you pause the video, when I come back I'll show you what to do when these have got just the starting of colour on them. Thank you. The veg has been sauteing on for probably about 4 or 5 minutes. It's just about starting to think about getting some colour on it, but it desperately needs water. I can feel it starting to think about wanting to stick. If I didn't have a non-stick pan, it would want to be sticking right now. I'm going to add in some pepper. This can be done after you've added the stock or before. And I'm also going to add in some chilli flakes. As I say, they are really, really strong, and they've got a lid that pours, so I'm actually going to put a few onto a spoon before I go in with them. And even though that doesn't look like very much, it's probably more than I want, so I'm going to use about half of that. I can always add more chilli in, but if I make it inedible, I can't take it out. Obviously, if you've got some fresh chilli at home, you can use that. Just going to stir those in for a moment. And then I'm going to add the stock, which now has dissolved nicely. I started with about 300ml of stock, and what I'm looking for the stock to do is just about cover the vegetables, which it does. My plan will be that this will have a lid put on it, and it will simmer away for about 15 to 20 minutes until all the vegetables have gone soft and are cooked, especially that swede. That's the one that will probably take the longest to cook. I'm going to check on it maybe every 5 minutes or so, and if it looks like the water level has gone down, I can always add more water to this. It's not a problem, just straight from the kettle. It will still keep the temperature in the pan nice. I'm going to turn this down now just to simmer. I don't want a hot heat on it. And as I said earlier, this is a great way of using up any veg that you've got that you think, I'm not sure that it's going to be any use, I'm not sure if it's going to be any good to use in a different way. It's perfect for soup. So I'm going to leave this just simmering away for about 15-20 minutes. Going to check in on it, add some more water to it as and when I need to. I might even taste it, see if there's enough chilli in there, and if there isn't, I might add a little touch more. I'll see you in a little while when this is ready to blend or serve. Thank you. And back to the soup. So soup has been simmering for probably about 15 or 20 minutes. I made the cauliflower cheese in between coming back to it and starting it off. The veg now feels soft, they feel cooked through. I've just had a little taste of the liquid. I can taste a little bit of that chilli. If you like more spice, obviously add more herbs and spices to suit your preferences. So next thing for me to do is, you could eat this as is. Personally, I prefer soups to be smooth. Now there is not enough liquid in here at the moment for it to be a soup that you would have for your lunch, for example. So when you, the reason for this is it will take up less space in my fridge until tomorrow when I'm going to use it. And when I put this into the saucepan tomorrow to heat up, I'll thin it down with just a little bit of cold water at that stage. And because it's going to be quite thick, as you'll see in a moment, it will need some thinning down. So I'm just putting this into a blender. If you've got a stick blender, that would be perfect. If you don't, maybe have a chunky soup. So I put that in, lid goes on the top, make sure everything's on securely so that you're not going to have any accidents, and it then goes onto the base unit, and I'm just going to blitz this. It will probably take about 5-10 seconds. Now there are some little tricky bits at the top that don't want to get added in because it is quite a thick soup, so I'm just going to see if I can and that's it, blended. Now this is, as I say, far too thick to serve, but it means it will take up less space in the fridge. So it's going to go into a measuring jug or whatever you want to put it in the fridge in, and then in the morning, or lunchtime tomorrow when I'm going to have some of this, I'd probably have a ladle full of this, and then I'd thin it down with some water from the kettle and then just heat it up in a pan.